Hi there, I'm exploring Eastern Germany, traveling to a World Heritage Site in Lusatian. I'll be visiting Muskau Park, which was created by Prince Pückler. He also went by the name the Prussian Pasha, and I'm intrigued to find out why. I'll also be meeting an international Instagram star, the Rakotz Brücke, aka Devil's Bridge. And I'll be taking a boat trip across an open-air coal mine, now Saxony's biggest lake. Lots of nature and scenery, let's go. On my journey through Saxony, I'll meet people who've long called the region home, as well as newcomers. The starting point for my tour is the stunning chateau, Muskau Castle, and all around it, the beautiful park. Muskau Park is huge. The paths stretch across over 50 kilometers, with many of them lying in Poland. That's because the park is positioned on the border between the two countries. So I'm going to try and get an overview now. Muskau Park is a landscape garden inspired by the English style. I grew up in Scotland, so I'm familiar with this type of garden design. Everything looks well maintained, but natural. There are long paths leading past sweeping lawns with various vantage points. The aim of Hermann Prince von Pückler Muskau was to create a perfect landscape. In 1815, he set about making the park, over an area of more than 800 hectares. He went to enormous trouble. For example, he planted some 4,000 mature trees to create optical axes. You could say he painted with nature to create a walk-in picture gallery. I'd like to learn more about Prince Pückler's masterpiece. The man to speak to? Park Director Cord Panning.
Here in Muskau,
we have what's called a classical landscape garden. It's made using only what the landscape has to offer. We have meadows, trees, the topography, and here and there a stone wall made from local granite. And water too, of course. There are no temples, clocks, or ruins. This type of garden really only uses elements found in the existing landscape to design spaces. That wasn't possible in earlier times. Previously, people clung to the architecture and jumped from one architectural style to the next. Here, the pure elements of landscape are enough.
And what about Pückler himself? What kind of man was he?
He was certainly a very original person, witty and articulate. He was a good writer, socially able, and always at the center of society. But the great thing is that this man, who was born and bred here, who was spirited, that he also had a sort of restraint, and created this wonderful landscape at a time that was economically disastrous. And it worked. The people who shook their heads and called him mad are all forgotten, but he and his unusual idea remain remembered.
A short journey in my green electric car. Cord Panning has stories to tell about many of the trees here and wants to show me something in particular. Prince Pückler didn't leave anything to chance in his park, including the design of the approach.
An approach is the artfully orchestrated way to reach the castle at the center of the grounds. The longer it is, the larger the estate seems. So an approach is also always a status symbol. You can see what Pückler did here. It seems to go on forever. The trees are fairly unexciting: oak, beech, hornbeam, and linden. It could almost all be a natural landscape. But if we turn around, we notice that this sequence is broken.
The trees get more unusual at this point. Among them is a bald cypress with its curious knobbly knees.
Now the picture gets wider. With every step, the panorama gets more expansive.
Until finally, the castle comes into view. This is how Prince Pückler welcomed his guests in the 19th century. Not bad for a first impression. Muskau Park became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2004. The river Neisse flows right through the middle of its grounds. And here, I can just walk right across into the country next door. And now I'm standing exactly on the border. Germany is right there, and Poland is just over here. I head back to the German side because I want to take a look at the castle's greenhouses and kitchen gardens. These have been reconstructed from historical records. First, Pückler loved the unexpected. That's particularly obvious here in the palace gardens where pineapples grow, and I definitely want to see them. I meet head gardener Weißwasser Kulzo, who first takes me to the kitchen garden. Herbs and different types of fruit and vegetables are cultivated here, very much in the tradition of the prince. Horticulture played a big role in his park. Pineapples are grown in the greenhouses, just as they were back then. They were even more exotic in the 19th century, when it wasn't possible to just fly them in. The pineapple was regarded as a royal fruit. Prince Pückler thought pineapples were a good way to impress women and to get rich.
In Pückler's day, pineapples were in demand. He'd heard that pineapples were eaten in many castles and that they were very expensive. So he wanted to have a plantation here that would yield 3,000 of the fruits to make a bit of money. If you're familiar with Pückler, you'll know that he was always looking for ways to make money.
I'm intrigued and want to find out more. The castle has a permanent exhibition about Prince Pückler's adventurous life. He was an intellectual, a bon vivant, and cosmopolitan. He travelled to England on a number of occasions, where he fell in love with the big gardens and parks. He wrote a book about his own garden ideas that has influenced landscape gardeners across the world. He also wrote best-selling accounts of his travels, for example, about the time he spent in North Africa. For him, travel was freedom. First, Pückler was known by many names: Pasha, Dandy, and Playboy, just to name a few. He lived a rather eccentric lifestyle and apparently had a great passion for women. There are a lot of stories about this prince and the ladies. Said to be a rather charming seducer, he liked meeting society ladies and wrote them passionate letters. The exhibition even has a section on the topic. Frauke Mankatz is in charge of the collection. She gives me the lowdown on the prince's amorous adventures and on his marriage. What was his relationship with his wife Lucy like?
His wife was considerably older than he was, which was very unusual for the time. It was a marriage of convenience on his part, as she had money and a title. But nevertheless, it was a lifelong relationship. There was a lot of exchange between the two, perhaps because it was platonic. We don't know for sure. And like him, she also loved parks.
Lucy's enthusiasm for the park was so great that she even agreed to a divorce when money started running out. The plan was for the prince to find a new wealthy woman to save the park, but the plan fell flat. And then there was a girl called Mahbuba. Prince Pückler bought the girl, who was probably only 12 at the time, from slavery in Egypt and took her back with him to Bad Muskau. She died a few months later. His relationship with her was unclear.
Was she a foster child he felt sorry for and adopted? Or was their relationship more like an affair? In any case, his actions made Lucy, his ex-wife, jealous. But we don't know the exact story. We're still trying to trace the life of this young woman or girl.
I can make use of Prince Pückler's powers of seduction myself with this love letter writing machine. So now I have a special coin and this machine is going to write a love letter for me. Okay, exposing myself a little bit here, but here we go. The levers and dials let me choose whether I want to write to a man or a woman and what I want to express. I can also select if I'm taken or not. I'm intrigued. The letter arrives sealed and addressed to the light of my life. It reads, "Without you, I am surrounded by darkness, which is only illuminated by your presence. You let me see the stars." Wow, that's more romantic than I normally am. Despite all his passion, the prince didn't have much luck with the ladies, or anything else for that matter. He had to sell his beloved park in 1845, but his name is still in everyone's mouth. Literally. This ice cream combo with chocolate, vanilla and strawberry was a favourite of the prince's. You might know it as Neapolitan, but here they call it Fürst Pückler ice. I get back on the road to visit another park that's really nearby. It's a lot smaller, but also has international fans. This is the Rhododendron Park in Kromlau. I'm not here today to see the famous rhododendron in bloom. It's already too late in the season for that. But I do want to see a rather spectacular bridge. Photographers from all over the world come here. The Rakotz bridge is their favourite motif. It's become a social media star. I've often seen it on photos and want to finally see it live. Someone else who appreciates the perfect reflection in the water is Toni Janke. She has been Kromlau's flower queen since 2019. She travels up and down Germany promoting the Lusatian region, the Rhododendron Park, and of course, its famous bridge. Flower Queen Antonia's fans can follow her work on Instagram. She shares pictures from her home region and her travels. The Rakotz bridge is made from basalt and rough stone. It spans 35 meters and was painstakingly restored in recent years. You are not allowed to actually set foot on it. It was designed to be a work of art.
The
park's creator wanted to create a sense of relaxation. He bought the park and had the basalt rock brought from Bohemia. It was transported with oxen and carts, which took a long time. It took a total of 10 years to build the Rakotz bridge as it is today. He wanted to create something non-natural, something extraordinary. And I think he managed that very well.
Yes, definitely. The form looks so unnatural that people back then thought the devil had helped build it, hence its nickname, Devil's Bridge. Instagram pro Toni shows me a lesser-known spot for photos. Luckily, I didn't fall into the water and I've got a nice souvenir shot. Now I can see why this bridge is so popular. The way that it reflects on the water, very magical. On each of my trips, I plan to meet someone who has moved to the region from abroad. I'm curious about what it's like to live in Lusatia if you come from elsewhere. In Weißwasser, I'm meeting Phil Gallant. He's from the US city of Boston. But why did you actually move here in the first place?
So my wife, she was in America first. So she lived in America, she worked as like a nanny there.
Nice.
And we lived there for like 3 years, and then at the end, she was like, I'm sorry, but, you know, I don't like America. So I'm going back to Germany. You either come with me or you stay here. And I was like,
That's quite an ultimatum.
Yeah, I was like, that's a huge ultimatum. I was like, damn. I was like, okay, I guess I'm coming with you. I'll try it out.
Oh, very romantic though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Phil has been living with his wife here in Weißwasser for 4 years now. They have a young son. Phil is training to be a nurse. At first, it wasn't easy for him to put down roots. The language was a problem, and the food.
I think my first food that I ate here, or so my first dish that I ate here in Germany was tongue. Like cow tongue or something. I don't know.
Whoa, that's like really diving into the deep end.
Yeah, it was yeah. So it was my first week here in Germany, and we were celebrating my father-in-law's birthday. So of course he's like, my favorite meal is tongue. I was like, super. And that's when I couldn't speak any German at the time, so I didn't know what it was, but I just kept pointing to it and like,
oh my God.
I was like pointing, like being like, is that okay? And they were just pointing to their tongue. So I thought when they were pointing to their tongue, I thought it meant it tasted good. So I was like, all right, cool. I took a bite and I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God, I just ate a whole tongue.
Yeah. Well, it was funny.
Phil has brought me to the tower am Schweren Berg. Up here, you get the best view of Weißwasser and its surroundings. Even if there's not great visibility today. I mean, we can see literally the whole town from up here.
Yeah.
What are the highlights? What do you like most about living here?
The quietness here. You can literally do what you want. You can have a party in your backyard, whatever, and nobody cares. There's no neighbors to be like, turn the music down or something like that. But I just like that you have your own peace and quiet here, and it's literally the perfect place to raise a family. Germans are very friendly, I will say, and they're very like helpful. So I would say that with that, I'm gonna stay in Germany. Nice. I don't see myself moving back to America. It's not that I have anything against America. I love where I come from, but my family's here. Like, I built a connection here, and I built a foundation here.
From the tower, you can also see the Boxberg coal-fired power station. The mining of lignite or brown coal has shaped this region, and I want to take a closer look. So I head to Nochten Open Cast Mine. Well, the landscape here is just huge, such a grey expanse, but it has a slightly apocalyptic feel to it. Lignite mining has been going on in Lusatian for more than 160 years. But that's due to come to an end by 2038 at the latest. Right now, the Nochten Open Cast Mine is still in operation. But once the huge excavators have left, the landscape is going to be restored and rewilded, with moors and woodland, protected environmental areas. And lots of former open cast mines have been turned into lakes, which is how Lusatia's Lake District was created. I want to take a look at Saxony's biggest lake, but I have to recharge my car first. My Volkswagen Beetle was originally built in 1978, but it's been converted into an electric car. So, he's all charged up. On to the next. Lake Berwalda covers almost 1,300 hectares. I'd like to take a tour in an electric boat. But not on my own. I'm going to be joined by Kathleen Hoffmann-Mitschke. She works for a company that has been restoring the post-mining sites in the region, including Lake Berwalda. What did this look like 20 years ago, and what's changed since then?
The landscape has changed a lot. When I was a child in the 70s and 80s, there were open-cast mines here, big holes where coal was mined using large excavators, conveyor belts and so forth. That's why this lake is so big, because this is where the coal seam was. After reunification, the era of East Germany's lignite mines was largely over. But of course, something had to be done with the holes. And now they're being turned into Europe's largest artificial lake district, the Lusatian Lakeland.
It's a pretty unique vacation and recreation area, with houseboats and marinas and plenty of water sport options.
When I take my kids swimming here, they say we're going to the Baltic Sea with a power plant that makes clouds. So you can really see the structural change. There's a power plant still burning coal right next to the new lake.
Structural change in the Lusatian region is also a big topic for the artist I'm going to meet next. I'm driving to Schleife to meet Thomas Schwarz in his studio.
Hallo.
Hallo.
Ich bin Hannah.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Thomas. Can I show you my kingdom?
Sehr gerne. Wunderbar.
His kingdom includes a sculpture garden. Thomas Schwarz used to work in forestry, but he became a sculptor 10 years ago. It was his passion for ancient trees that brought him to art. He says he tries to discover their souls. In his series The Outcry, he worked with the crowns of Scots pines. The 300-year-old giants were felled to make way for mines.
It's important to preserve the structure because that symbolizes how the tree had to give way to mining. Trees have history inside them. They have ancient, almost magical qualities, which the sandblasting reveals in the wood. And the oiled, sculpted parts bring out what's special inside.
His sculptures are sometimes figurative and sometimes abstract. He likes to combine wood with other materials like glass or metal. Some are also commissioned pieces. Thomas Schwarz has collected hundreds of types of wood in his studio. Some found their way into his series Diversity, which depicts the human body in all its shapes and forms. Big, small, fat, thin, young or old.
The wood comes from all over the world. Practically all continents are represented, from Australia to South America with the amaranth. This is the zebra wood from Africa. There are Asian, European, North and South American woods. I like the diversity. Nature offers us countless woods. These are just a few, a small insight into this wonderful world.
This hollow linden tree comes from somewhere we now know.
It's from Pückler's park. He incorporated it into his plans.
From Bad Muskau.
Bad Muskau, exactly. Just think of everything this tree saw, especially in Pückler's park, with all the ladies strolling around in beautiful dresses, and the stories. After all, the linden tree is a tree of love. Who knows what this one experienced?
Wow. Thomas shows me how to go about turning an ancient tree into a sculpture.
With a chisel and a mallet, I can give it a structure.
Ah, I see. Okay. This wood is from a wild pear tree.
Come on, let's switch.
Okay, I'll try.
Hold it from above and hit it like that.
Okay.
That's good. Try a bit more of an angle. Great.
It worked.
Okay, I think I'll leave the hard work to the professional now. Vielen Dank, Thomas.
And I have something else planned now. I'm driving back to Bad Muskau for one last look around the park. It's so big that there are many parts I didn't get to see. This time, I get to lean back and take a carriage ride through the park. Back in the day, the prince liked his coach to be drawn by white stags, but I guess I'll have to settle for these two horses.
Dankeschön.
From up here, I get quite a different perspective on Prince Pückler's pride and joy. Bad Muskau and Lusatian in East Saxony. What an incredible experience. The nature and the landscape here is so beautiful, but that's all for now. See you next time.